Neocolonialism is a modern theory that is used to explain developmental gaps in the world in lieu of the breakdown of colonialism. Whereas in the past, war was the main way of extracting resources from poverty-stricken regions like South Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and South America, today corporations do it. Corporations influence politics to guide their puppet governments to give them exactly what they want. Because of this, war is supposed to be less common, and nothing is supposed to ever get better. If you're actually interested in the theory, check out Noam Chomsky and his various books and articles on American hegemony in the world. This theory sort of fell out of popular opinion around 2001. Many prominent figures using the theory began creating a scenario in which America was going into Afghanistan to steal the country's resources. Of course, Afghanistan actually has no real resources other than illegal drugs, so it ended up being a really silly argument. They eventually came to the conclusion that America was entering Afghanistan to build a pipeline to help OPEC distribute oil to Europe. It sounded silly then, it sounds silly now. So now we have a game called Neocolonialism. In it, you are a corporation, and your job is to ruin the world by making money. It's one of those indie titles invented by hipsters for hipsters. Just for the sake of proving a point, the world map is flipped upside down. For the average gamer, this is going to take away from the game's aesthetic. For the developer, it's a big FU to the man. You can choose to ruin the world as whomever you want. Your computers are all well-known American moguls and businessmen like Carnegie and Koch. They're all competing against you for who can destroy the world the best. But you're all partners in destruction. You buy a vote in a country, and that acts like buying a percentage of that country. You gain income based on how profitable that country is. Ironically, if this is really how the world worked, things would actually be much better for poorer countries. There are 3 simple tools for making money in the game. The first is building a mine. They generate a little income. Next is building a factory. A factory builds twice as much as a mine, and as more mines are linked up to them, they generate even more income. And finally, there's the free trade route, which can be used to link up mines from one country to factories to another country. But, as I said, you are partners. Each vote allows for a corporate mogul to become prime minister of that country. If no prime minister is named, absolutely no one makes any money off of that country. So it's actually in your interest to make sure that someone, rather than no one, is named prime minister. To this extent, you look at how people are expected to vote and try to get someone in. But as you gain more money, it becomes making yourself prime minister and trying to devise a network to best extract resources from the world a main priority. As you purchase more and more votes in each country, you become a more dominant player. However, acting alone is heavily punished. If you purchase all the votes in one country, you can easily be overthrown and lose all your votes. This also allows for other players to swoop in and take the votes for cheap. This is also not the only disaster. Every single turn around, IMF will choose one region that can have a disaster. One person is chosen as the IMF director for that region, and they can choose to build a mine, build a factory, a free trade route with that country, or destroy existing assets there. This can be particularly nasty if you hold little to no voting power in that region. The game is decided by a scoring system. When you are prime minister, you have the choice to liquidate all your votes to your scoreboard, which is actually a secret bank account. As you drop mines, factories, and free trade routes, the value of these places heavily increases the value of your liquidated votes all increase. Near the late game, the strategy involves liquidating whatever votes you can, while preventing others from liquidating their votes. In this particular case, having no prime minister is better than having a prime minister. Overall, the game is quite good and well thought out. The only problem is actually it's priced 10 times its actual value. The game is only good for one playthrough, of which that one playthrough will be about 20 to 30 minutes. After turn 12 hits, that's it. That's the end of the game. The game is too simple for a second playthrough. If you go to the patch notes, they've added expansions, it might become worth picking up. But right now, there's nothing in the works. In the current state, the game is simply not deep enough for a $10 purchase.